Hi, I'm Miss Van Loan, and in this video, we're going to complete Module 3, Lesson 1, Independent Practice. Remember, I recommend using your math notebook and using your paper the normal way, which is called portrait. Please use a pencil, either number 2 or mechanical, and have an eraser handy. For the purposes of this video, I will be using a blank sheet of white paper, and it will be in the landscape orientation. That is because it works better for the video camera. I'm also going to be using pen because it shows up better on camera. All right, let's get started. Module 3, Lesson 1, Independent Practice. Put your name, and then at the top of your paper, write PEMDAS. And actually, you know what, let's write it like this, because PEMDAS. That's a little bit better, because it actually reflects, when you write it this way, what we do. So this is order of operations. Parentheses comes first. And then exponents. And then multiplication and division. In order, left to right. Okay, and then addition and subtraction, again, in order, left to right. And that's so that we don't forget that the subtraction sign belongs to a specific term, or that the division sign goes with a specific term. When we go left to right, it helps us get these correct. Let's do number 1. Parentheses, 9 plus 26 minus 5, close parentheses, divided by 6 plus 6 squared. So we're going to do parentheses first, because it's grouping first. Inside those parentheses, we're going to use addition and subtraction from left to right. So 9 plus 26 is 35 minus 5. And we'll just bring this stuff down. Divided by 6 plus 6 squared. 35 minus 5 is 30. Now we can drop the parentheses because we've done everything in them. Divided by 6 plus 6 squared. Next, exponents. Well, that would be the 6 squared. So let's do that. 30 divided by 6 plus 6 squared means that we have 2 6's being multiplied together. This is 6 times 6. So that would be 36. And now we go in order left to right, multiplication and division. So we're going to do 30 divided by 6. Well, 6 times 5 is 30, so this is 5. 30 divided by 6 is 5. Plus 36, we just bring it down. And now we add these two together. It's our last operation, and that will be 41. Okay, let's do number 2. Parentheses, 10 plus 65 minus 5 squared, close parentheses, parentheses, 7 minus 2, close parentheses. So now inside this first parentheses, both of these are groupings or parentheses. So inside here, we're going to do this one first, and then we'll do this one. We're going to kind of do the inside first. So let's do the inside of this one first. So when we look here, we've got some addition, we've got some subtraction, we have an exponent. So we'll do the exponent first. So we'll just bring everything down. 10 plus 65 minus 5 squared. That's 2 5's being multiplied, which is 25. Now we'll go, there's nothing in here besides addition and subtraction. So let's go left to right inside this parentheses. 10 plus 65 is 75. And we bring this down, minus 25, 7 minus 2. 75 minus 25 is 50. And then we can do this one inside here. 7 minus 2 is 5. And so now there's nothing in between here, which means we multiply. So we can drop the parentheses and say 50 times 5. When something's right next to a parentheses, remember we're going to multiply. So if we've got two parentheses next to each other, we multiply. So let's just cover up that 0. And we've got 5 times 5, which is 25, and then put the 0 back on. So we get 250. Number 3, parentheses, 20 minus 8, close parentheses, parentheses, 14 plus 3, close parentheses, minus 6 squared. So we'll do what's inside the parentheses first, then we'll do the exponent, and then we'll do multiplication and division, and then addition and subtraction. So 20 minus 8 is 12. 14 plus 3 is 17, minus 6 squared. So now we can drop the parentheses. We have 12 times 17 minus 6 squared. And we're going to do the exponent first. So remember, 6 squared is 6 times 6. So 6 times 6 is 36. We're subtracting 6 squared. We have 12 times 17. Now, I want to point this out to you. The negative sign is saying that we're minusing or we're subtracting 6 squared. We're not saying that we're adding negative 6, which is being squared. In order to do that, so here's the big question that people have, and they get this wrong on the test. This is not negative 6 squared. This is minus 6 squared. If you wanted to do a negative 6 squared, it would look like this, negative 6 squared. We don't have the parentheses to tell us that this negative belongs to the 6 and that we're squaring that. We're saying we're subtracting the whole unit of what 6 squared equals, which is 36. Okay? So that's just kind of a little aside. All right, let's go back to this. So now we're multiplying in order, and then we'll subtract. So 12 times 17. So I'm going to use a generic rectangle for this, and I did have someone ask me some questions about the generic rectangle. Shout out to that student, because you're going above and beyond, buddy. You are asking questions and wanting to know, and I love that. All right, so we've got 12 times 17. So I'm going to split this apart according to the placeholders. So we've got a 10 in the tens place and a 2 in the ones place. And then we have a 10 in the ones place, or sorry, the tens place, and a 7 in the ones place. Now we're going to multiply like this. Every corner multiplies to the other one. We're filling in the table of multiplication, and then we're going to add everything up at the end. So this is 100, because 10 times 10 is 100. 10 times 2 is 20. 7 times 10 is 70, and 7 times 2 is 14. So I'm going to add these going down first. So 100 plus 70 is 170. 20 plus 14, and that equals 204. So 12 times 17 is 204, and then bring down that negative 36, minus 36. So 19 and 14, 14 minus 6 is 8, 19 minus 3 is 16. So 168. All right, let's do number 4. I'll squish it in here. Parentheses, 18 minus 8, close parentheses, parentheses, 10 plus 5, close parentheses, minus 8 squared. And we've got another tricky one like that again. We're subtracting the unit 8 squared rather than having a negative 8 that's going to be squared. We would have to have parentheses there. Okay, let's do what's inside the parentheses first. 18 minus 8 is 10. Let's just kind of jump straight and do this one inside the parentheses too. That'll be 15 minus 8 squared. 10 times 15 minus 8 squared. 10 times 15 minus, and 8 times 8 is 64. And yeah, I memorized all of my multiplication tables with a rhythm to it. So if you haven't memorized all of them yet, try that. Try doing some chanting and put a rhythm in there, and maybe that'll help. So we're going to do multiplication first and then the subtraction. Multiplication comes before the subtraction. 10 times 5, well, this is 10. Anything times 10, you just put a 0 on it. So that's 150 minus 64. 150 minus 64. Well, if 150 minus 50 would be, I'm going to do it like this. 150 minus 50 is going to be 100. And 100 minus another 14 is going to give me 86. I can kind of do it in stages and do it faster without having to borrow. You can, of course, always still borrow from the one next to it like I did here. Or you can recognize some number relationships and start making your way towards being able to do stuff like this in your head when you recognize number relationships like that. It just takes practice. You just got to work with numbers. Okay, I'm going to put PEMDAS on the back of my paper. Wherever you get to the point where you have to turn your paper over, just write PEMDAS again, and remember to write it PEMDAS so that we remember that multiplication and division is left to right, and addition and subtraction is also left to right. We are on number 5. Parentheses, 2 plus 2, close parentheses, squared, plus, parentheses, 7 minus 16 divided by 4, close parentheses. So let's do what's inside. 2 plus 2 is 4. Bring down everything else. Let's do what's inside this parentheses in the PEMDAS order. What are we going to do first? Oh, we're going to do this one first. 16 divided by 4, because multiplication and division comes before addition and subtraction in the order of operation. So we're going to do this one right here. So let's just cover this up, and we'll say like 7 minus whatever that equals, okay? So we don't have to really worry about the subtraction there. 16 divided by 4, well, think about it the other way. 4 times something equals 16. 4 times 4 is 16. All right, on our next row, we're going to continue trying to get rid of everything that's in the parentheses. So this is actually 4 squared still, plus 7 minus 4 is 3. So now let's do that exponent. 4 squared is 16 plus 3, which is 19. Number 6. Parentheses, -3, close parentheses, squared, plus 2 parentheses, -4 minus 7, close parentheses. Hey, do you recognize this concept right here? So the parentheses are telling that this is a -3, and if you have a -3 times a -3, then we have a negative times a negative, and this is going to result in a positive. So let's, we're going to do what's inside the parentheses here, and since we've got another parentheses here, we can do this one too. So let's do this one at the same time. So negative 3 times negative 3 will be positive 9 plus 2 parentheses, negative 4 minus 7. Remember, this is like being at negative 4, and then we're going to go even more negative by 7. So the other way to look at it is that you put them together, 7 and 4 together is 11, and then make it negative. Okay? So negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, negative 8, negative 9, negative 10, negative 11. Bring it down, 9 plus, and then if we got rid of that parentheses, we're going to have 2 times negative 11. So 2 times negative 11 is negative 22. 9 plus a negative 22 is just 9 minus 22. So let's take the bigger one, 22, and subtract 9 from it. It's 13. And I can do that fast because 22 minus 10 is 12, and then give it 1 back because 9 is not as big as 10. If that doesn't make sense, you can still use the number line. 9 minus 22 is going to be negative 13 because the 22 is the bigger one and it's negative. Let's do number 7 on my paper up here because I don't think I have room at the bottom. Okay. We have a superfraction with 6 minus 4 times 6 in the numerator. And in the denominator, we have parentheses 6 divided by 2, close parentheses, squared. So we're going to do the parentheses first, then we'll do the exponent, then we'll do multiplication and division, and then addition and subtraction. One thing to note is that this is a grouping. Sometimes P is substituted for G for grouping because we need to do everything on the top in the numerator and everything in the bottom of the denominator, and then at the end we can divide top by bottom. So the top is like its own little parentheses, and the bottom is like its own little parentheses, even if we don't draw them on there. So just kind of keep that in mind. I should probably have done it in a highlighter because it's not in the original. So just something to keep in mind. It's like invisible parentheses. Everything on top first, everything on bottom first, and then the final division. All right, so what's in the parentheses here is 6 divided by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. And then we've got this squared sign. And on the top, we have 6 minus 4 times 6. So 3 squared is 3 times 3. We'll rewrite this over here. 3 times 3 is 9. Right, we've got 2 3's being multiplied. That's what that little 2 up there means. It's an exponent. And then we're going to do multiplication first. So 4 times 6. So let's just bring over this 6 minus, and then we'll do 4 times 6, which is, okay, 24. And so now we have 6 minus 24 on top, and then divided by 9. So 24 is bigger, minus 6. If you know that 4 6's make a 24, then you know that 3 6's make an 18. The 24 is negative and it's bigger, so this is negative 18 divided by 9. We could even rewrite that and say negative 18 divided by 9. And 18 is 9 times 2, so that'll be 2, and there's a negative on it. Number 8. Another superfraction. 7 parentheses negative 3, close parentheses, minus 2 squared in the numerator. And in the denominator we have 5 times 2 plus 18 divided by 6. All right, so this parentheses here doesn't have anything that we're doing with it. It's just telling us that the negative belongs to the 3. So we're going to do 7 times 3 minus 2 squared. So this 2 squared we've got to deal with first. So let's do that. Let's do 7, and then the negative 3 is in the parentheses, minus, and what is 2 times 2? Because this means we have 2 2's being multiplied. So 2 times 2 is 4. And then remember, we can do everything on top, we can do everything on bottom, and then we'll do the final division. So down here, we've got 5 times 2 plus 18 divided by 6. So we're going to do multiplication and division in order from left to right. So we see this multiplication first. 5 times 2 is 10 plus 18 divided by 6. Now when we get to this point, we see 18 divided by 6 is division, which is a higher order on the list than this addition. So we've got to do this one first. And this is multiplication, so we'll do that one. So 7 times negative 3 is negative 21. And then we'll bring over this minus 4. And we've got a 10 plus 18 divided by 6. That's 3. Okay, I'm going to rewrite this over here. Negative 21 minus 4 divided by 10 plus 3. So this is like saying that we are at negative 21 on the number line, and we're going to go another 4 more negative. Or they're both negative, so add them together, 21 and 4, and then make the answer negative. So it's negative 25. 10 plus 3 is 13. And we have an improper fraction here. So 13 times 2 would be 26. So we can't get 2 13s out of there, but we can get 1 13 out. So 25 divided by 13, we can get 1 whole 13, and we're going to be left over with 12. And the answer is negative. Okay, let's do number 9. Lincoln mows grass on weekends to earn extra money. He charges $8 per yard. Last weekend, he mowed 9 yards. During the week, he purchased a $5 school sack lunch on 2 days. He paid back the $10 he owed his older brother, and he purchased 3 poster boards for school projects for $1.25 each. Write an expression to show how to calculate the amount of money Lincoln has left at the end of the week. Then simplify the expression to determine his ending amount of money. Okay, $8 per yard. And it says he mowed 9 yards. And this is our plus over here. This is what, let's divide this up into 2 sections here. Okay, we've got a plus section for the money coming in. We're going to have a minus section for the money going out. Plus coming in, minus going out. So during the week, he purchased a $5 school sack lunch on 2 days. So $5 for lunch times 2 days. Okay, next. He paid back the $10 he owed his older brother. So $10 to brother. and he purchased 3 poster boards for school projects at $1.25 each. So $1.25 posters times 3. Write an expression to show how to calculate the amount of money he has left. So we're going to start with how much money he made, and then we're going to subtract all the stuff that he, spent. Okay, so we're making $8 per yard times 9 yards. And that is the money that came in. And then we're going to subtract everything that went out. So I'll put that parentheses at the end. So $5 for lunch times 2 days. So 5 times 2. And then what else is in this box here? $10 to the brother, so plus another $10. And then plus another 3 times $1.25. So 3, I should have put a dot here for multiply, times 1.25. Okay, there's our expression. So I'm going to put a box around it because that was part of the question. And now the next part of the question is to simplify it and actually find the amount. So 8 times 9, 9 times 8 is 72. Minus, we're going to do all this. Okay, so inside these parentheses, we need to do the multiplication parts first and then add up all of those. So 5 times 2 is 10, plus this 10, and then 3 times $1.25. So let's look at it this way real quick. 3 times 25 cents. What happens if you have 3 quarters? How much money do you have with 3 quarters? You have 75 cents. And then if you have $3, what do you have? Oh yeah, I guess I just said it. $3. So now we can add up what's in the parentheses. 10 plus 10 is 20, plus 375 would be 23.75. And now we subtract that from 72. So I'm going to put it over here. 72.00 minus 23.75. When you're adding or subtracting, we line up the decimals. We're going to need to borrow. 10 minus 5 is 5. 9 minus 7 is 2. 1, nope, we got to borrow. 11 minus 3 is 8. 6 minus 2 is 4. So what he has left over is $48.25. P-E-M-D-A-S. Left to right, left to right. Okay. In the game of golf, the score is determined by how many strokes it takes to get the ball in the hole when compared to par, the predetermined number of strokes it should take on the difficulty of the hole. If a golfer scores par on a hole, then the number of strokes needed to get the ball in the hole was the same as the posted par, and the score is 0. If a golfer scores above par, it is counting the number of additional strokes it took above par, and the score is positive. If a golfer scored below par, it is the number of strokes below par, and the score is negative. Low score wins. So it is important to stay at or below par as much as possible. Okay, real quick. When it's talking about strokes, it means when you take a swing to hit the ball. That's what a stroke is. A stroke is a swing. Kind of like if you were playing baseball and you swing to hit the ball. So in golf, you swing to hit the ball. And it goes down the field, and then you go down there and you hit the ball again. So far, you've hit the ball twice. And if you're on a hole that should take 3 hits or 3 strokes, then you get 1 more hit to get the ball in the hole. So let's say you walk down and your ball is now near the hole. And the part near the hole is called the green. It's kind of like the key in basketball. It's the part that's really close to the goal. So now you hit the ball one more time and it goes in the hole. So it took you 3 hits or 3 strokes to hit the ball in the hole. And so you made the goal, which is called par. If it took you 2 hits or 2 strokes to get the ball in the hole, you would get a score of -1. And if it took you 4 hits or 5 hits or 6 hits, you would get a +1, +2, or +3. So if you make it in the amount of hits or strokes that you're supposed to, you get a score of 0. If you are extra good and you do it in fewer hits, then you get a negative score, which is good. And if you take extra hits, you get a positive score, which is not so good, but still fun. Okay, let's keep going. Lucy played 9 holes of golf. On 3 holes, she scored 2 below par. On 2 holes, she scored 1 below par. On just 1 hole, she scored par. On another 3 holes, she scored 1 above par. Write an expression to show how to find Lucy's score for the 9 holes. Then simplify the expression to determine her score. Okay, normally you have a scorecard and it kind of looks like this. This is kind of what the scorecard looks like. And when you score something, you either write +1, +2, -1, -2, or even more than that. So if we're going through Lucy's scorecard, it's going to look like this. If we do it in order of what it's telling us, 3 holes, she scored 2 below par, -2, -2, -2. On 2 holes, she scored 1 below par, -1, -1. On just 1 hole, she scored par. That's a 0. On another 3 holes, she scored 1 above par, +1, +1, +1. Write an expression to show how to find Lucy's score. So this is what the scorecard looks like. Oops, 1, 1, 1. And so it's actually not that hard to figure out the score because you can take these 2 negative ones and cancel them out with 2 positive ones and then see we've got -6 and a +1, so -5. So you can add up your golf score a little bit easier, but this is not what the problem's asking us to do. All right, it's asking us to write an expression. So we've got 3 sets of -2, so we're gonna do 3 sets of -2, plus 2 sets of -1, 2 sets of -1, plus a 0, we'll throw it in there for good measure, plus 3 sets of +1, plus 3 sets of +1. So there's our expression. This is what we want to circle for the answer, or box for the answer. And then we already figured out what that was, but we can use PEMDAS to solve it as well. We're going to do the multiplications first and then the additions. So 3 times -2 is -6, 2 times -1 is -2, and then we can get rid of the 0. 3 times 1 is 3, so +3. And then 3 and -2 cancel and leave us 1, which is kind of what I did up here. And then a -6 minus 1 is -7. Bruh, I did something wrong. Oh, -2 and +3 is +1. So this is -5. Okay, there we go. All right, that's it. Have a great day.